Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp. When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I and my ancestors speak, they tell me they're tired of them praying on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I've surpassed peak, until they think we are equal. Please, all I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their palms would bleed, begging that generations remember our story.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Peace and blessings to the good people. How's everybody doing today? I hope all is well. Shout out to my poets, my writers, my content creators. You know the vibe. The weather is switching over nicely for me. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I am loving it. Sid, I hope all is well with you. Y'all see the title?
Very excited.
I got a clip for y'all. I'm gonna play. Yeah, man. I had to meditate a little bit on this one because I didn't want to just jump out the window and start to rant and rage about it. So took some time, sat with my thoughts a little bit, and we are here. How are you this morning?
Doing pretty good. I had a dream that I moved to Canada or New Zealand, and then I was disappointed when I woke up in America. But doing pretty well. I have one more day to finish my poetry manuscript, so I'm getting close to having a third one done. I've just been trying fitting everything in time. I definitely have enough pages. It's just a matter of putting some of these in order that are still not finished yet. But I'm getting there. I'm almost done. So yeah, almost done.
That's what's up. I love the energy. I love the consistency. That's the difference between people who say they want it and people who actually go after it. You know?
Absolutely. It helps having that class to guide me along. But yeah, I never thought that I'd be capable of writing a book because I always struggled with ADHD, and I've always had a problem with 3 chapters in and I'm bored of this book now, moving on to the next one. So I have a bunch of unfinished books. So it's nice to actually wow, I actually can do this.
Breaking some barriers. You gotta be a good confidence boost too, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And then also it's nice to have all the writing done. So all I have to do is work with the editors and publishers, and I don't have to do any more like hard work. So I'm excited that I'm finally close to that stage where I have 3 books done, and then all I have to do is the easy work to kind of get it out there instead. I don't have to, even though I'm still going to be writing, I don't have to do writing to be like, I have to complete this. So it'll be a nice break.
That's what's up. Well, you earned it. Let me bring this up on a big screen real quick. I've been waiting for this. I don't know how this works. I don't know if I'm missing something in the law manual. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't practice it. So if there's something within this situation that we are overlooking, I would love for somebody to help me understand it, because none of this makes sense to me. I'm gonna let this clip play, and we can start with our open thoughts or whatever. This is the 2:30 clip, so I'm gonna let it run.
That's part of the Trump regime that just recently went to jail. And the time that he received is so little and minute. Listen to what he went to jail for. Former Texas megachurch pastor Robert Morris pleads guilty to sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl in the 80s and will serve 6 months in prison. 6 months in prison. That's how it is in America. If you're a white, rich, cis man, you can get away with whatever you want.
Thank you, Jesus, for
the man who once led one of the largest congregations in America. Today, walking into an Oklahoma courthouse, pleading guilty to using an underage girl.
This has taken my entire lifetime to get here.
That girl was Cindy Clemishire, now 55. Inside the courtroom, delivering a message to her abuser through tears, as Gateway Church founder Robert Morris admitted to 5 felony counts of lewd or indecent acts with a child in the 80s.
People need to know who he is, that he came into our home as a pedophile. Disguised as a preacher.
The abuse began on Christmas night in 1982, Cindy says, when she was 12 and Morris 21.
Sick.
It continued for years.
Sick.
A secret Cindy kept until 1987, when she told her parents and church leaders, and for the first time last year, shared publicly.
He started by touching my breast and putting his hands in my pants.
Decades passed. Morris grew into an evangelical powerhouse, even serving on President Trump's Spiritual Advisory Council, at times alluding to past transgressions in his sermons.
Wow. Sexual temptation is an appetite of the flesh, and I developed an appetite before I was saved.
His sins that NBC News reported on last year, now officially crimes. Morris handed a 10-year sentence, though he will only serve 6 months in a county jail as part of the negotiated plea deal. He will also have to register as a sex offender and pay $250,000 in restitution.
There is hope to come out of shame and to be whole again.
He got 10 years, but because he's a white, rich man, he got 6 months. 6 months. Imagine if this was anybody else but a rich, white, cis male. How much would they have gotten? The judicial system in this country is so screwed because this should not be allowed. This man should be doing 25 to life, in my opinion. Because if you can violate a child, you don't deserve to be in our public anymore.
You gotta love the United States of America. Been trying to figure out what I wanted to say for the longest time. So, short and sweet, I'm gonna say this. Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. What's up? How do they get the book thrown at them? But this gentleman right here, basically got a slap on the wrist and gets to walk away free. While also preaching the word of God to hundreds and thousands of people. I'm disgusted, I'm embarrassed, and I'm ashamed of what we've allowed this country to suffer and what we've allowed these people to do within this world. Like, you don't realize how discouraging that is. I would be completely humiliated. I'd be ashamed as a lawyer, as a prosecutor, as a judge. I would have all type of secondhand embarrassment. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't spend 10, 15 years of my life studying to be a part of a system that's pretty much screws everybody over. That's not what I signed up for. What's your initial thoughts on this whole thing?
I mean, sadly, this does not come as a surprise given the history of this party and this administration. Just a simple Google search. This was published in June of 2025. So far in his presidency, up to June, he's granted clemency to 16 corrupt politicians, including a woman who's supposed to get 140 years for stealing money from 2 police officers that had been murdered. A couple of them had gotten in trouble because they pulled money out of a fund meant to reimburse pediatric doctors. There was another one that tried to sell his Senate seat for a cause. There was another one that was sentenced for misusing campaign funds. There was a couple people that were convicted of swapping land, personal deals while in a government position, bribery. Of course, we all know there's multiple ones that were convicted of abuse of people or young people. Obviously, we all know what he's doing with Ghislaine Maxwell. There's another article that was published in March of 2025. So again, we have 6 months or whatever of more people that we've known of since then. But in March, a report found 400 allegations of sexual harassment between 2013 and 2024 involving 145 lawmakers in this country. And again, that was only since March. I mean, we've all known it feels like every single day they're finding another congressman, another senator that's sexting a minor or doing things illegally with somebody younger than them. We also see a number of politicians suspiciously married to 20-year-old women and started dating when they were like 19. And they're like 50, 60-year-old men. So this is definitely not something that is sadly unusual in the government, even though it should be, because people are making the laws, and to allow literal lawbreakers to be making the law is completely bogus. There's so many words that I could use to describe how awful that is, to know that we have politicians running this country who are perfectly complacent, committing fraud, committing crimes, being horrible to other people. Like, there are wife beaters. There are people that are, as I said, stealing money from organizations that are meant to help needy populations. There are people that are taking advantage of their political power to get free stuff, to get money. I mean, our literal president took an airplane from a hostile country in favor, even though it was for free. Magically, a couple months later, we now have a base for those people in the middle of our country. So free with purchase, I guess. So it does not come as a surprise. I do find it in a dark way. I do find it humorous that it just happens to be his spiritual advisor. Again, not surprised with the number of priests and religious leaders that are also being found guilty for molesting children, for attacking parishioners, for doing all sorts of shady things, again, financial and otherwise. So again, it does not surprise me. It's just another indication of how corrupt this government is. And I mean, everyone knows about the Epstein files. We all know that there's going to be if not a handful, a whole collection of celebrities and politicians that are in that document. We all know it, with all the dodging that they're doing. They know it, we know it. It's going on, and they've been hiding it for decades. As we said, for this guy in the 80s, he'd been keeping up with that since the and then I'll definitely get to this later in the podcast, but the complete what is it, like how off it is that these people are getting away scot-free or with a slap on the wrist. Meanwhile, there are innocent people sitting in jail for decades because of crimes that they did not commit. So yeah, again, I'm not surprised. It's disgusting, and I'm glad all of this is coming to light, and I just hope that we grows a pair and starts to convict the tremendous number of perpetrators that we have in this country.
I hope what happens with this, especially on the religious side of it, because, you know, we have a guy that was highly respected by a group of folks. In my opinion, they went to him for spiritual guidance in a world that is sick, full of wickedness, despair, suicide. I mean, you think about the heaviness that's weighing on people. Think about or consider all of the families that are really trying to build their homes on solid foundation, all for them to look for a church home. A lot of us look for church homes, real ones, legitimate ones, where you're going to get the bread of life, not this bogus, watered down version, and all to discover that the truth is there are a number of pastors out here all across the world, and it's been said in the Bible, so it shouldn't be surprising that you have fell victim to one of them. Not even the fact that this is the first one. We've spoke about TD Jakes. We've spoke about a few of them. Me personally, and it's heartbreaking. It's sad. It's like, to you, my salvation might not mean nothing. To me, it means everything. This is my life y'all playing around with. Like, once I leave here, I don't know what's next. I'm trying to get right. I'm trying to get my relationship with God right. You are taking this position and playing around with it like it's a joke. What was it? A few weeks ago, I did a reaction to it where there was a mega church that got exposed for like trafficking and abusing their congregation, had them slaving and working out in the like that is crazy to me. And to be able to do it for years and years and years, you'll have people that say, "Oh, I'm trying to tell y'all this is what's happening." Everybody else is like, "No, you're lying. You're just making it up. You're jealous. You're just mad because you're broke." And that's what people do when they're trying to go against the word of God. And y'all use religion and spirituality to monetize and manipulate people, and then gaslight folks who see through it because they have an anointing on their life and they can tell who is operating from the spiritual gifts and who is doing something nefarious. It's fucked up. There's no other way to put it. And I'm hoping that with what has happened, I don't know. I don't think it's turning people away. It's turning way more people away from church than it is bringing them to it. That's the problem. I don't want people to get discouraged, but I can't tell nobody not to be, because look at what's happening. Imagine, Sydney, you can spend, your family built their foundation in that church 15, 20 years. You've done seen kids grow up in there. And then you find out all of it was a lie. That this man, how would you recover from that? How would you treat, or how would you feel about spirituality, the word, the Bible? How would you feel about any of this stuff after you just spent dedicating just about all your life to somebody who went out of their way to use you and everybody else? And that's just one portion of it. Like you said, there's other things: the manipulation, the stealing, the theft, the Epstein stuff, all that. Like, there's so much wrong here. Yeah, I said it before, I said it again. Let me get my passport and get up out of here. They don't care about us at all. Damn. And I always had a problem with financial. Like, it wasn't until the last 7 years or so I had the same issue with church. I don't trust you. I don't know if you want to tell the truth or not. For all I know, you just want to say whatever makes me feel good. Like, because I used to mess around with them bullshit, bogus letters that would come in the mail, or you would see on Sundays from 5 in the morning to 10 at night. Peter Popoff and St. Matthew's Church and all of them talking about they'll bless you with this water that comes in this little teeny ass packet. You pay them $20, $30 for it, and then you read off some words once you get the mail, and then you send them. Like, that bullshit, that shit turned me off from it until I realized that as much as I despise people who lie, and I despise folks who use religion to get at the consumer or the spiritually sick, I know that there are real solid bishops and pastors out here. But you have to have your own personal relationship with God. You can't rely and wait on other people to tell you what you know and see. Period. I hear the mic.
That specific case that you mentioned at the beginning was even worse than you were mentioning. The person that, let's see, so Paul Havsgard, he was the pastor and missionary at a Riverside megachurch, and he severely abused two women that came forward who filed the complaints initially, but it was found that he also abused dozens of other children at the shelter associated with the church over a span of 8 years. This part I find the most despicable. He lured children that were struggling on the streets, homeless or otherwise, with fast food and the promise of shelter and education. These men, as the attorney said, these men are hurt, angry, and still suffering from PTSD and social difficulties. And he basically took advantage of their needs and abused them once he had them in his grasp. And that was just one case. In July alone, there were 34 church leaders and or Christian school employees who were arrested, pled guilty, or were sentenced to prison for child crimes. Just a single month. So, as I said, like one a day, basically, or a little bit more than that. In another investigation, the Wisconsin Attorney General has been doing an investigation since 2021, and so far, he has received over 300 reports of abuse by faith leaders since its investigation launched. It's resulted in several charges, but there's still more to come, and that's just a single state investigation. There's, I mean, if you Google just like sex crimes of 2025, you're going to find lists of names all over Texas, Mississippi, Wisconsin, Michigan, California, Louisiana, all over. And again, that's just religious leaders. I'm not even factoring in the politicians. This is a plague. This is not something that is new. This has been ongoing for decades, generations. And the other aspect of it that makes it so disgusting is the fact that they are getting away with it. I mean, this isn't related to those types of crimes, but we all saw in broad daylight what happened to Jimmy Kimmel versus the person that said we should assassinate homeless people. He got a slap on the wrist where Jimmy Kimmel had to literally have everyone boycott companies just to get his job back. So they very much favored these individuals. In here's the list of 7 of the politicians that were granted clemency by Trump. One man was 36 months in prison, for that he was the one that swapped land for power, basically. He was pardoned shortly after. Randall Cunningham pleaded guilty to charges that he conspired to commit bribery. He was sentenced to 100 months in prison, but he received a conditional pardon by Trump after a couple months. Robert Hayes, a Carolina Republican, was convicted of false statements in a federal bribery and corruption investigation. He was sentenced to a year of probation and was pardoned by Trump. And Duncan Hunter was sentenced to 11 months in prison after pleading guilty to misusing more than $150,000 of campaign funds for personal benefit. Him and his wife were pardoned by Trump. Mark Cylinder pled guilty to obstruction of justice and acting as an unregistered foreign agent. He was sentenced to 12 months in prison. And he also was receiving $75,000 from an Islamic relief agency to basically cull lists of charities that were linked to funding terrorism. And he was also pardoned. Bruce Collins was sentenced to 26 months in prison after pleading guilty to insider trading. Trump pardoned him after serving only 2 months in prison. Steve Stockton has been convicted of 23 felonies, including using charitable donations for personal use, and Trump commuted his sentence as well. There were also John Rolland he was convicted, but he was sentenced to 30 months in prison, but Trump was pardoned, so he served no time. Alexander Sittenfield was sentenced to 16 months in prison, but he was pardoned as well. There was Scott Jenkins, who was also convicted of bribery, and even though he was sentenced to 10 years, he was pardoned the day before he was supposed to start his sentence by Trump. Former Nevada State Republican lawmaker convicted of fraud, using $70,000 of charitable donations that were meant to honor 2 slain police officers, and he was pardoned before her sentencing, even though he was facing 140 years in prison. Another one, Brian Kelsey, 21 months of imprisonment. He was pardoned 2 weeks into his sentence. I could keep going. This list just keeps going. And these are all people that have committed crimes while in office and served only a little bit of time or no time at all. And meanwhile, here's a short list again. Ronnie Long a black man, spent 44 years in prison after being wrongly convicted of rape in North Carolina. He ended up being exonerated because people did a private investigation and ended up finding him innocent, and found out that his DNA it didn't match his DNA. Another man, Vincent Sims, was freed after 44 years for an attempted rape charge that he didn't commit. He was convicted in 1977, and he was finally freed after he didn't have a fair trial. Calvin Willis spent over 21 years in prison for sexual assault in Illinois. He was exonerated after DNA tested excluded him as the perpetrator. Brian Hooper Sr. was freed from Minnesota after 27 years for a crime he was convicted of, and was exonerated after the person eventually confessed to the crime. Patrick Brown spent 29 years in prison for rape he did not commit. Conviction was vacated. So, and those are just a couple names. There are definitely more, and there's probably some that we'll never even hear of, because they're just going to die in prison and nobody will ever find out what actually happened. So these people are spending decades in prison for crimes that they never committed. Meanwhile, we have people that are being exonerated in a matter of weeks or months because somebody else who has 34 convictions and is linked to a sex trafficking ring is saying, "Oh no, you're good. You can go now." I mean, we've seen he supports people who are known wife beaters, who are criminals, who are knowingly committing fraud, and meanwhile he's doing wild goose chases after people that are trying to do good for this country, saying that they're criminals. He's labeling us as terrorists. Meanwhile, all of these people are running around trafficking children, sending nude pictures to kids, trying to take advantage of people, trying to take advantage of their positions of power for money, and we're the terrorists. If anyone doesn't think that this is a fraudulent regime, they need to start reading, because there's so much evidence out there. It's blinding. Like, as I said, every day I wake up and there's another case. I've been joking with my mother-in-law that one of my favorite memes lately is I'm not surprised. Whoa, I'm so shocked. Like that's just how I feel now. Every news article is just there's another one. It's repulsive that this is the government that is running our country, these are the people that are demanding our respect. They all need to go to prison. They all, like, as I keep saying, we need new Nuremberg trials. These people need to go.
Long overdue. But I think the reality is it's going to continue to intensify. And as evidence continues to pile up against them here in the physical, and they successfully cover it up, the bill is getting more and more expensive in the spiritual aspect of it. The things that you just listed here, of course, just triggering. It would piss anybody off. If you could snap your finger and put the right people in the handcuffs, I think all of us would. That's not where we're at. I would like to pray that at some point more of this gets put in the hands of folks that can absolutely do something about it. You've gone decades and decades and decades of wiping people off the face of the earth. And you said it, and it's scary. There's men and women that they're unsung. We'll never know who they are. They just got completely wiped out. Case in point, that Mississippi prison. They was lynching and killing black prisoners. Some of them weren't even prisoners. A lot of these people, they were in unmarked graves. They just had numbers attached to or some type of game reserve where they would just snatching up people off the street. I don't know how anybody that is still walking free and can vote freely can argue that these people that are in positions of power have our interests at heart, unless what you're really telling me is they have your best interests at heart, and that's why you fight for them so strongly. That's the only thing I can think of. Like them folks really are just reflections. And I say this, I find myself constantly repeat myself because I really believe that. Y'all don't give a shit about innocent people going to jail for shit they ain't do, because you're guilty of doing things outside of the courtroom yourself. You don't have a problem with a lot of these laws and regulations getting passed because you flock with the same group. That's why I can't be mad, but I'm mad, but I can't be mad. This is how the enemy works. The enemy is the ruler of the air. Satan is the ruler of the air. And he has free range to do damn near whatever he wants on this planet. Greed, pride, power has always been a tool that was successfully utilized to ensnare human beings. Our innate desire is to never be broke, poor, or destitute, while also wielding a great power or level of control that prevents us from ever having to be subjected to another person. Why do you think people are so greedy for it? Why do you think people die and end up in situations where blackmail is involved or assassinations come up?
Or bribery, where they pay the victims.
Exactly. The levels that people will go for certain things in this world is crazy. It's almost a sickness. I would rather not have anything than to have everything. But you don't understand what having everything comes with unless you obtain them things through righteousness. Even then, let's say, all right, put it this way, and I'm gonna give like you obtain everything righteously, you're still going to have the same burdens. If you obtain these things through corruption, selling your soul, etc., you're still going to have the same issues. But there's a complete difference between the two. The burdens that fall on the righteous, it comes with ridicule, it comes with temptation, it comes with jealousy, people trying to rob you, assassinate your character, so on and so forth. Doing it the other way around, you have a different level of pressure because you're going to spend the rest of your life hiding in the dark, concealing all of your stuff. You know, having bodies in the backyard. You ever heard that phrase before? Yeah, you're going to be constantly looking over your shoulder while the righteous person is going to have to deal with everything up front. You're going to have to conceal all of your skeletons. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I get like
what you were saying, a quote comes to mind. I don't remember the exact quote, but the idea is the more that you have, the more you end up being burdened. Because if you have everything, you're now going to be enslaved by the things that you own. Whereas if you accept not nothing, but like if you accept having what you're given and are grateful for what you do have, you're not going to be ruled by those things around you, by the stuff that you have and by the things that you like. I mean, the best example I can think of is materialism. Like if you give into that temptation of materialism, you're not going to be just burdened with the desire to own things, but you're now going to be ruled by the things that you own. You're now going to have to spend all of your time maintaining your stuff, all of your time paying bills to pay for that stuff. You're going to be potentially saddled with debt. You're going to be saddled with the fear of, oh my God, what if somebody breaks in and steals my stuff? You're going to have to pay to store your stuff. You're going to have to pay to protect your stuff and give yourself warranties and all this other stuff. So having it all is a unique burden that increases with everything that you have. And another thing that you said, how it's a sickness. Literally, I opened Blue Sky, and the first thing I see is another new case opened 2 hours ago. The Republican that introduced the Trump derangement syndrome bill, which is basically going to attack anybody who doesn't like Trump, saying that they have Trump derangement syndrome. He was just arrested for soliciting a minor. Minnesota State Senator Justin Eichhorn traveled to meet a 17-year-old he met online, but was instead, he thought that the 17-year-old, he thought it was the 17-year-old, but it ended up being a cop posing as a minor. So they basically caught him in the act of trying to meet somebody who he knew underage. And another one, 17 hours ago, Lindsay Whiteside was indicted for felony sexual battery of a minor. She was just sentenced to 3 years of house arrest and 7 years of probation. The prosecutors were seeking a 30-year prison sentence, and she got 3 years of house arrest. That is just another example of how these people are getting away scot-free for crimes that are extremely disgusting. Like, another thing that you're saying made me think of the fact that a lot of these people are targeting children, are targeting people who are disabled, are targeting women, are targeting people in need, because those are the people that are less likely to be able to fight back. They know that they're easier to victimize, and that's why they take advantage of those people, because it's easier to get their way. And it's definitely a thing. They're trying to take advantage of the weak to fulfill their disgusting desires, and they're getting away with it. There's a bill right now that they're trying to pass in South Carolina, which would make it legal for them to charge women 30 years in prison or the death penalty just for seeking out abortion services, even if it's to save their life. People that drive someone to a different state from South Carolina to get abortion, or doctors that tell the patient they should get an abortion for medical reasons, are also liable to that punishment. So you can get 30 years in prison or the death penalty for trying to save your life, but these people are taking the security, the sanity, and potentially the lives of other children or other people, and they're getting a couple months in at home. It does not make sense. And not to mention the fact that all of this ICE action is to remove the criminals and the sex offenders out of our government or out of our country. Meanwhile, the ones that are perpetrating it are the criminals and are the offenders. It's completely messed up. This system is not right, and it takes advantage of those people that cannot protect themselves. It's very, very clear who is under attack here. It's children, it's people with disabilities, it's women, it's other people of other ethnicities, people of other identities. It's very, like, the majority of these people that we're seeing committed of these crimes are white, Christian, Republican men. Not every case, but it's the majority of it. And it's, again, it's just another bright red flashing light of the corruption that's going on in this country and the double standard that people are being subjected to, who do not deserve fair treatment when they're committing crimes like this. Meanwhile, people who do not deserve it, who do not have the resources to protect themselves, are the ones that are taking the fall for these awful people. It's just like, there's really not much to say besides this has to stop. This is absolutely horrific, and we have to get these people out of our political environment, out of our school environment. Like, they're so worried about mass shooters. I'm like, how about the teachers, the priests, the politicians that are protecting our children, our people, who are the ones that are actually doing this? I mean, even at my own school, when I was in high school, there was a teacher, an English teacher, that was found guilty for having sex with multiple cheerleaders. And I remember when I first, like, my friends used to say, oh yeah, he's a really cool teacher. Like, a lot of kids would hang out in his room at lunch. And I remember the only time that I ever went into his room, I thought it was weird because he would be sitting in his desk and there would be like 3 cheerleaders sitting on his desk or on his lap. And I remember feeling really weird about that. I was like, okay, that's not right. And lo and behold, a couple months later, he was arrested. And this is the type of stuff that they don't focus on. They're so much more worried about the terrorists in Portland and the Antifa and the gun violence in our schools perpetrated by the left. I'm like, no, it's not. It's you guys. It's what you are doing. You're like literally our own president has 34 counts, and I'm pretty sure at least like 5 of them are sexual battery or other forms, and he's paid off at least 2 or 3 women that I know of, and that's just the ones that we know of. I mean, we all see how he treats his daughter as well, and this bleeds out into the population as well. Like, if the people in power are doing these things, it emboldens people that are not in power. I don't know if this is related per se to politicians, but the case that always sticks in my mind is that poor 11-year-old child that was forced to deliver a baby after she was assaulted by her own dad. And this is the type of stuff that we're going to be in danger of if they allow all of these anti-abortion laws to pass, because then these types of people are going to continue getting away with assaulting children and doing whatever they want and subjecting them to all of the stuff that comes with being forced to have children that you don't want. Like, it's the same people that are committing these crimes that are also forcing women to endure the repercussions of those crimes. This is a plague. This is a huge, huge problem. And again, the good politicians have got to grow balls and start going after all of these people. As you said, if we snapped our fingers just to make sure all of the right people are in jail, we'd probably lose a third of our government. There would be so many seats open. And again, I like to joke, this is probably one of the reasons why the rapture happened and we didn't notice, because none of these people deserve to go to heaven.
How dare you? Man, oh man, oh man. To the people who still want to defend show me evidence, provide documentation that suggests that anything that is said here is inaccurate. I would love to see it. One of my pet peeves are people pleasers and folks who idolize. I can't stand people who idolize and worship. You know why? Because no matter what a person does, you will always find a way to circumvent their iniquities, defend it, then turn it around and make the other person look like they are the problem. You guys don't have no mind of your own. You can't think for yourself at all. Your lives are ran by other people telling you what to say and do. The evidence supports it. Sports, politics, music, just about all social media. As long as these people operate under the same sin and under the same murky ideologies as you do, they will always have a seat. Period. I know it ain't going nowhere until that day comes when when Jesus returns. I ain't gonna say he, when Jesus returns, then and only then will the people understand because right now you're benefiting, so you don't see the problem. But when you have churches kicking people out for trying to preach the actual word, when you got churches kicking people out for confronting pastors for being half-assed with their sermons, there's a problem. I can't even think of his name right now for some reason, but he had his whole team kick a woman out because she challenged him on his sermon. He ain't want to respond to her, so he had a security team escort her out. Joel Osteen. That's who. It says, don't be fooled. There's going to be a lot of antichrist. There's going to be a lot of folks in the church that's going to lead people astray. It's everywhere, from YouTube to Twitter, all that. Even in our government, like I don't know why, but like I'm just I pray for the country, man. Like if I have to be here, the most I can do is pray for it and like have these type of conversations. Somebody come across it and see it, and they'll want to, be a part of the change. Hopefully, spreading more awareness about it, because that 6 months is crazy. 5 years, 10 years house arrest. What? But you got all these folks that's in prison that shouldn't be there, or maybe let's say they are guilty. Then you gave them the proper sentencing. Okay, that's cool, but do that shit all across the board. Make sure everybody gets the same sentencing. Everybody should be punished equally. If R. Kelly is going to be in jail for what he did, then he should be in jail for what he did. Not for no fucking 6 months. And yeah, we already know Epstein files are being concealed for a reason. Like if you wasn't guilty, there wouldn't be no need for you to scramble and make all these excuses for why you prolonging this shit. Come on, man. At this point, you're just telling us we're guilty, but you're not about to get us. No, so we're not putting it out. So you're gonna have to do something. You don't have to really force this to happen. Otherwise, we're not. I have no faith in our government. I never had faith in my government. Never believed in our government. I didn't. The fact that everything's expensive and hard to afford, the fact that everybody is getting kicked out of their homes. Like, these people, man, they got jobs. A lot of people actually work, but you keep raising the price of everything until it's unaffordable. So you're literally you're overpricing people. That shit crazy. There's a group of friends, all black. I believe it's 70 families in Georgia that bought their own land. They combined their income, bought their own land, and they're creating their own little town. We need more of that. At this point, we need more of that. I don't want to be a part of this shit right here. I yield the mic.
Yeah, this is just, it's insulting to know that these people are out on the streets scot-free, especially when it's just going to embolden them, because now they're going to like, oh, I can just do this again. I can just get off again. If I just keep paying money, I'll just be able to get away with it. I'll just be able to keep doing what I'm doing, and nobody will bat an eye, especially with how much our political system, our law system has dissolved into madness. I bet you we're going to start seeing more of this, because with people that feel like the approval from the higher ups to do whatever they want, they're going to act more egregiously. This is something I've been hearing in regards to the military, where people are starting to leave the military because they don't want to work under a regime like this. They don't want to work for somebody like Hegseth, who is accused of sexual assault as well. The people that are going to stay, the people that are involved in ICE, the politicians that are not good, that are choosing to stay because they get benefits out of it, they're just, as the good ones leave, they're going to be like, cool, now nobody's here to stop me. I can do whatever I want. And their crimes are going to get worse. I mean, we all saw, or I mean, we didn't see it, but we all know what happened in Germany. Once they were given full power, they treated people horrifically. We know the standard, like what they did, but they were doing so many other things behind the scenes. They were experimenting on people. They were assaulting people. They were medically testing people. I mean, this even happened in our own country in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and before. They would do medical experiments on people under the guise of like, oh, we're here to help you. We're here to learn. This is just a scientific study. But they would use that to take advantage of the needy communities. And it's what we're seeing now. As I said, if we don't start standing up for these communities that are being affected, if we don't start showing our disdain for this type of behavior, it's really only going to get worse. We're going to, as our law system falls apart and as our courtrooms get more and more packed with all of these lawsuits and all this stuff that we're going to have to be doing, a lot of this is going to get brushed under the rug as people start losing their income and losing their housing and going homeless and losing their jobs and losing their health care. More and more of these crimes are going to be swept under the rug because people are not going to be able to afford to do anything about it. People are going to be put in more situations that put them at risk of these situations. Your risk of all sorts of violence goes up once you're homeless. Your risk of all sorts of violence goes up once you're impoverished. Your likelihood of being exposed to crime also goes up with lack of health care, and also the repercussions of those crimes increase if you do not have health care, because if you don't have a doctor to be seen for STDs or for an unwanted pregnancy, or you don't have access to care that would prevent you from being forced to have a perpetrator's child, we're going to have more and more behaviors that show that desperation. People are going to be forced to secretly have their children at home and potentially take the children's lives because they didn't have any other option. Or people are going to be jumping off buildings because they don't want to live this life anymore, because they're being forced into situations that they no longer control, that they have no way out of. And I just knowing, like, besides climate change and stuff like that, and also because of climate change, I have an understanding of how these types of like how the falling apart of things affects people's behavior. When people get more desperate, they get more violent, they get more like shoplifting increases, and thefts increase, and carjackings increase. And when there's an increase in crimes, you're also going to have an increase in murder and suicide. You're also going to have more altercations between people. You're going to have people fighting in breadlines just for food. These are all things that unfortunately we can look forward to, or not in a good way. We can expect to see if these types of things continue. If you have corruption within the government, that corruption is going to leak into society as people get more desperate, more scared, more disadvantaged. So this is definitely something that needs to be addressed right away. And again, we need to have a much, much, much better system to rid ourselves of these actual criminals from the government. And I have a short poem that I wrote to kind of talk about these types of people and how they take advantage of us, because these people are predatory. Whether we want to believe it or not, these politicians do not have our best interest at heart. These religious leaders, not a lot of them, but the ones that are committing these crimes, they don't care about their parishioners. They're not trying to be godly people. They're trying to use their positions of power to get what they want. And these are sick people. And again, with that, we can't treat them like, oh, that's just who they are. All these communities I've been hearing arising of people that are predators all living in the same communities and stuff, and wanting to define it as a sexual preference that is not the right direction to go. We should not be condoning this behavior. At the very, very least, we should have programs to give them therapy and basically train them out of this behavior, because this is not normal. It is not okay to be interested in a child as an adult. It is not normal to want to take advantage of every person around you and get as much money as you can using positions of power, even if it hurts other people and disadvantaged other people. It's not normal. These people are not right in the head, and we have to stop treating them as if it's just a mistake. Oh, they learned, they figured it out. I'm like, no. If anyone has ever watched, oh my God, what is his name? The To Catch a Predator, you can see similarities in their thinking and their behavior, how they just expect to apologize and get away with it. This is the same type of thinking. And when you have that much money, it's so easy for you to be like, oh no, here, just take this. It'll be okay. I won't do it again. No, that is not how this works. They need to go to prison just like the rest of us. It doesn't matter how much money you have. All y'all should be going to prison, and all of you need to be in prison for a very long time, because we cannot allow these people to be emboldened to commit more of these crimes, knowing that all they have to do is spend a couple weeks in prison, and then somebody else who has committed these crimes that commiserates with them is just gonna be like, oh, I understand you. Go, leave, you're free. No. So the poem, it's a short little one that I wrote, is called Noxious. Those who poison rivers won't save tears for you. Those who suffocate, separate, extricate humanity from the living, deny you. Like vultures in a flood, they will not ever destroy you. They will watch, and they will wait until they can pick your worth straight from your hollow carcass. Start raising your voice. Preach peace. It's time. And that is just all to say that we have to start standing up for ourselves, because clearly the people in power are not doing that. So It's our time to take back the power from all of these horrific, disgusting criminals. And we have to stop giving all of these people time on TV and time and to debate us about their behaviors. Like Steven Crowder, I cannot stand that man. People love to watch his show, even though there's video of him beating up his wife and he's had all these crimes and whatever. And we obviously give Trump all the airtime he wants. And we have all these other politicians who are allowed to keep their jobs despite everything that they're doing. Athletes that we promote, even though they've done horrible things to people. This cannot continue.
I said it once, I will say it again. When you have people who idolize and worship, they are the worst. They are the worst humans to associate with, because you can bargain with them. There's no reasoning. There is no having proper discourse. I would love to sit down and have people like that up here, only because I would like to break down the parallels between one being biased and one being objectively content with where they stand on certain matters, so that the people who are observing the back and forth, they can see the disparity between the two. Yeah, you're not going to like a lot of what one person says. That's okay. I'm not going to like everything you say. That's okay too. But the point is, we're trying to find common ground. And what we're really looking at here is two different sides of the spectrum. We have people who are terrified that consequences are going to fall on them because of standing up against the tyranny. And then you have a group of people who are content with what is happening because it rules in their favor. They get something out of it. Then you have a small margin of folks that don't really care. They're going to say whatever the hell they want, regardless of how you feel about it. And we don't have enough of them people saying we don't. You're right. We need to stand up and we need to stick together. We need to stop giving so much of our visibility to people who should not have it. Why do people who are known for putting their hands on women and children, why should they have the right to profit? Why should they be able to monetize off of any content that they put on social media? That's backwards. It makes no sense. But that just goes to, it's like, all right, you're one of them people who you know it's wrong, but you're still entertained by it. So you don't care enough to do anything. So you're just as bad, because like you're telling me, oh, you know that he's a murderer or he's this and that, but because he's funny and because he makes you laugh, you're still going to, yeah, we got a lot of laughs. And that's one of our issues. So I don't know.
One thing that we can still do that I think really helps, keep spreading it on social media. Anytime you see an article, a video talking about these people, especially ones that are getting away with it, post it, repost it, send it to your friends, send it to your family. Make sure they know, especially if they're in those states. Make sure that they know, we know who is around us that is committing these crimes. And thankfully, because we have social media now, we can make sure that this is visible, that these people cannot have their faces out there without all of us knowing what they're doing. So make sure that you share this information. Anytime these articles come up in your feed, reshare and send it to as many people as you can, because if these crimes are in the light, they will not be able to continue at the rates that they're going on right now. So, and then also, if you happen to be a victim, don't be afraid to come forward. I know it would be really difficult. It can take a lot of mental effort to even cope with and come to terms with what has happened to you. But to help other victims that potentially do not come forward, and also for yourself, for your own sanity, it's better to make sure that these people are accountable for their crimes. And for anybody that is going through that, I pray for you. I can't even imagine how awful that would feel, especially somebody that was an authority figure or somebody that you thought you could trust. But know that there are resources out there. There are organizations that are there to support you. And there are lawmakers and lawyers and, as I said, organizations that do support you and are willing to fight for you. So again, don't be afraid to come out if you have been in that situation. Even if you've been paid off, like even if they've been trying to pay you off, come out anyways. Who cares? These people have got to go. So yeah, share it, let people know, make sure everyone knows about these people and what they're doing. And through that, hopefully we'll be able to discourage future crimes from happening, but also we can make sure that these people get the punishments they actually deserve.
Well said, and I agree 1000%. At some point, we got to take a stand for something. And as long as the Lord gives me a platform to speak my piece, I'm going to speak it and I'm going to share it.
That's my favorite quote, by the way. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. So make sure to stand up for yourself.
Facts. Well, look, man, we about to get up out of here. We will be back later on this evening. If you are in the building, tap in, come hang out with us. I'm going back in the lab. I'm about to drop a couple more here. If you need to reach me, you know how. Matter of fact, let me see. If y'all want to reach out to Sid, all you got to do is scan the barcode up at the top. I meant to put that up earlier. I got distracted. But if y'all need to reach out to her, that's the perfect spot to tap in. Shout outs to everybody who pulled up today. I hope you guys have a blessed afternoon. I will see you later. And if I don't see the rest of you later, y'all have a good one, all right?
See you guys tonight.
And do me a solid before you go.
What's the goddamn button?
All right. Peace.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close my ancestors speak, they tell me they're tired of them praying on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I've surpassed peak, until they think we are equal. Please, all I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their palms would bleed, begging that generations remember.